Well, hi everyone. I'm John Retlin with my review of Undertaker The Last Ride, Chapter 1 The Greatest Fear. This is a five-part series, or the first part in a five-part series, where it's about Undertaker's last few years in WWE, well, from 2017 to 2020. It would be very hard to do, footage for 2021 as it hasn't happened yet, unless he has a time machine. Maybe he should go back in that time machine and go back to the time where he wasn't completely washed like he was against Roman Reigns at Mania 33, because that's the focus of this episode. And holy fuck, that match is still impossible to watch without just cringing and being like, he really should have hung it up a lot sooner. I'm going to be critical of some things here. However, I do want to say that Undertaker is obviously one of my favorites of all time. The amount of years he's put into the wrestling business, various companies, but especially in WWE, he has definitely earned the respect of a lot of his peers and many fans. That being said, let's get on to a few things. Firstly, he addresses how much time he's got left, not wanting to become a parody of himself, and the amount of matches, surgeries, and that kind of stuff, just going over things and not wanting to embarrass the company, himself, or the fans, or embarrass Vince. But Undertaker, and with a "Don't Tread on Me" hat and a Blue Lives Matter shirt. I'm not shocked that Undertaker has these views. That doesn't take away from his career, but it does put a little bit of a damper on the fact that somebody I consider a hero is kind of a narrow-minded prick. And I wish nothing but the best for him, his family, and his wife, his kids, and all that stuff and everything. But Undertaker had a lot of goddamn balls doing that, because we all know the meaning behind both of those phrases. And these are my opinions. You don't like them, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I'm going to stick by this, and I'm not going to apologize for having these opinions. So, this starts a few days before Mania 33. So, we see, and it's rare too, because Undertaker normally doesn't, he's very private and doesn't have a lot of footage shown of his, of his outside life. So this was kind of cool to see that. He wants to honor his legacy. He wants to honor the people that he's fought before that have given a lot to him, that he's given a lot to. We see footage of his debut all the way back at Survivor Series 1990, almost at 1991. He won the WWE Championship in 1991. Hulkamania is dead, Monsoon. Mick Foley, Ric Flair, Bret Hart. Bruce Pritchard, I thought I smelled a bunch of moronic bullshit here, and here's Bruce Pritchard, one of the biggest piles of shit to ever come around in wrestling. And I hate to say it, but his co-host, Conrad Thompson, ain't much goddamn better. Can't really stand either of them. But anyway, hey, Bruce Pritchard, he's a great kiss-ass to Vince. So fuck the hell out of that guy. Maybe not literally. And Vince, looking very, very human. He's really showing the age of being a 74-year-old man. He does not look like, the genetic jackhammer and all this stuff and everything. He doesn't even look like he should be really in phenomenal shape for 70 years old. He looks really human. He talks about what Undertaker has given to the business. Shawn Michaels talks about the matches that they've had over the years, footage of his best 90s moments, winning the championship at Mania 13. The streak is mentioned, classics with Batista. It was actually a lot of people that he had beaten, but, Batista, Shawn, Edge. He was training to defend the streak, especially once it was like right after Mania 26. It was obvious that he could not maintain a full-time schedule. He had been taking some time off anyway before that, because his body was breaking down. He'd been wrestling for quite a few years. He'd been wrestling since 1984, I believe. 84, 86 was something like that. But he'd wrestled for a few years before he got to WWE. And the amount of injuries that he's had, it's absolutely amazing. The surgeries, the, not being full-time, what he had to do, swallow his pride and admit he couldn't work a full-time schedule. It must have been tough for him to admit, because he was out there going, doing a whole bunch of stuff. Michelle talks about, what he went through, concussions, broken bones, all this stuff, because, being his wife, well, one of his wives, his most recent wife. Can anybody remember Sarah? Remember that tattoo he had across the goddamn neck? That was a great investment, wasn't it, Taker? Like he's gonna watch this. But it was good to hear from Michelle. Naturally, they had to get a lot of footage with her because, they live together. So, of course, you want to hear from her. And her having her own in-ring career, you would want to hear from from her and what she has to say. And then the match was with Shawn, Triple H. It skips over a match that happened in Mania 29 with a certain Chicago-made Punk. I can't figure out why. But then, what we focus on? We focus on, oh boy, the streak. But first, He talks about training and keeping the muscles elongated, which I did not laugh at because I'm a mature individual. If any of you believe that, I will be amazed. So Mania 30, he doesn't remember any of it. Got a huge concussion. I think it was during the time where he got whipped into the turnbuckle pretty hard and his head snapped back. I'm not totally sure, but he was wiped out. The streak gets broken. Absolutely fucking brutal to see. Streak should have never been broken, in my personal opinion, or Bray should have been the one to break it. Break it. Oh, God, missed a golden opportunity for that pun there. Let that one twist in the wind. So he gets taken to the hospital because he has no idea where he is. He's just all out of it and everything. And it sort of reminded me of what people told me about a concussion I had suffered. I'm not a wrestler. I'm not any of that. I was in a severe car accident, and the memory loss and not remembering any of that stuff, it's tough. If you've ever had a concussion, no goddamn joke. If you've never had a concussion, please don't. Just do everything you can. I mean, not that people would willingly give themselves one, but except if you're in ECW, giving yourself multiple chair shots to the head, but whatever. This concussion talk was brutal. Vince and Brock went to the hospital with him. While Mania 30 was still going on, I mean, that was known that Vince went to the hospital. I know Brock went, but that shows the kind of person Brock is. If he likes you, he will make sure to be there for you. Then he even cracks a joke. Taker does, "I'm not dead, guys. Come on." And then Michelle said he had no clue he was till 4 a.m. the next day. That was a wake-up call for him. And then we skip ahead, stuff. We get to Mania 31 when he faced Bray in the daytime. Not exactly good. The Bray time. I'm missing out on the golden opportunity for these puns. And he had self-doubt. Triple H says, "Show them who the fuck you are." His feud with Brock in 2015. The memeable, reactions they had to SummerSlam 2015, the Hell in a Cell match. Then we skip ahead to Rumble 2017. Thankfully, we skipped over Shane versus Taker. That was bullshit. He knew he shouldn't be in the match. He talks about how younger guys should be on the card. And if he's on the card, that's possibly taking away a spot from a younger guy. And he wants to deliver and, show respect to them and also, honor his legacy. He doesn't want to embarrass, himself and the company, basically. And then he's like, I try to bring the best package I can. Which is another thing I totally did not laugh at, or not something I would take out of context. We get footage of Taker helping guys like Angle, talking to Angle backstage, and this is like back in the Ruthless Aggression days. And then, Ruthless Aggression, late Attitude Era, early Ruthless Aggression, talking to Angle. Actually, I think it might have been 2001 when he was American Badass, but talking to them, talking to Matt and Lita, footage of Darkness Taker, the Ministry of Darkness Taker, where he's talking out of character that he should be seen, that he's hopefully respected, whether they agree with his views or not. And that gets back to some earlier point that yes, I should, and I obviously do respect his career. I think anybody should. The amount of years he's put in there, even if it clouds my judgment a little bit. Footage of the Hall of Fame 2017, him greeting a lot of people, talking about JBL when he was Justin Cock Bradshaw. Wait, no, he's just a cockwomble. That's all he is. Bullying piece of shit that I'm glad is not involved in the product anymore. Hopefully is not going to be involved in the product anymore because he didn't fucking deserve to be there in the first place, or at least featured like he was. Still better WWE champion than Jinder Mahal. But anyway, I digress. Reigns shares stories about him and his family. They share stories about their respective families, the kids they have. And then the hype for the Mania 33 match, all, stuff, various footage we see on Raw, the entrance rehearsals, how Reigns and others think the match will go. And Taker knows his body's shot. He had to get a freaking injection. They talk about all his injuries, the burns he suffered at Elimination Chamber 2010 when he was world champion. He had a broken foot in the Hell in a Cell match, the infamous Hell in a Cell match with Mankind. And it's like, don't embarrass yourself, don't embarrass the company, don't embarrass Vince. That was his motto. That was something he had in his head. Showtime, he gets an injection of this cortisone shot or something like that. We see fan footage and unaired footage of his entrance in the match. And actually, that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see that. The match, I'm not going to go too deep into the match, but it was impossible to watch without just like cringing, and the attempted tombstone reversal was bad. He was done. He left his jacket and his hat in the ring, and then he makes his exit, standing ovation. He walks out with Michelle, as he should have, gets taken to the trainer's room. He does talk to Triple H and actually gets a bro hug from him. Really, really cool there. And then he talks to Vince, and he talks over his career. He's first talking about, he's looking forward to life after wrestling. And he's still fucking wrestling, and it's embarrassing. And Vince thanks him, and then in the next chapter we get to see the fallout, him waiting to get redemption and stuff like that. So I'm just going to close by saying this. I'm looking forward to the next chapter, and I enjoyed this piece. But I want to say that Undertaker's legacy is fucking damaged as hell. He is the one that has suffered all these injuries, and while I appreciate the amount of effort that he has put to put his body through this stuff to entertain the fans, ultimately he has to make the decision to not wrestle anymore. And these injuries piling up are on him. And that right there is what it is. I won't say I don't respect the man. I do respect the man. At the end of the day, the injuries are on him because he knows his body's shot and he keeps wrestling. It's for the love of wrestling and it's for the love of money. And I don't blame him. He's earned the right to earn that much money because of all the times that he, had company loyalty when others didn't, jumping back and forth between WCW and WWE. But that being said, the injuries are still his fault. Just saying. But anyway, agree, disagree what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.